Hey there everyone, welcome to Makers with Vicki. I am your host Vicki Howell, and about once a month I get together with my friends over at Makers Mercantile and we put on what we call Makers with Vicki, which is always project based and usually mixed media based. We love to play with all of the different fiber arts and experiment with how they can interplay together. So you can watch past videos that we've done by going to my Facebook page, Vicki Howell, and look under the videos tab and you'll see the Makers with Vicki playlist. Tons of great projects and we'll add them monthly. Today though, we are going to be focusing on this bag. It's a cork and crochet bag and it's pretty cool. I mean, it was easy to make. It's like a weekender project, really fun, and kind of goes with everything. It can kind of be preppy, it can kind of be funky, you can kind of do whatever you want, change up the yarn. But what's super exciting about it is working with this cork fabric. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. So we have loads to go over, but just to get this out of the way, if you want to, all of these supplies that I'm going to be showing you today are available at makersmercantile.com. If you use the code VICKI10, that's V-I-C-K-I-E, and then the number 10 at checkout, then you get 10% off, which is, you know, who doesn't like a little discount on their yarn and fabric supplies? All right, so I'm going to dive in because we kind of have a lot to cover. And then later on, the written instructions for this will be available on the Makers Mercantile blog, but you'll be able to use this video. I'm going to cover the major points of the bag, not make it start to finish, but really give you all the skills that you need to know to successfully complete this project. So let's start first with supplies. What you need for this project is cork fabric, and it comes in a fat quarter. That's all you need is a fat quarter of the fabric. So order that. This fabric's really cool. It's cork on the outside, but then it's backed. So you don't have to line your bag if you don't want to, which is kind of glorious. It takes out a step and makes it even faster. It also makes sure that we're using this for our bag bottom. It makes it really sturdy too as well. I love seeing all of you coming on who are watching live. Hi Pam, hi Paula. Please make sure that you share this if you know anybody that's interested in mixed media, in crochet, in sewing, in craftiness. And don't worry if you can't finish watching this now. It will be live. The recorded version is available on Facebook and will also be available on the Makers Mercantile blog at any point. Okay, so you've got your fat quarter of cork, and then you need a hank of Kabasi Plus yarn. This comes in a bunch of colors. I just have a few here. You just need one hank for this. I used this green color for it. The reason why I chose this yarn is because it's a nice worsted weight, which is kind of, you know, a go-to weight for yarn, but it's also a cotton, bamboo, silk, and elastic nylon blend, which means durable and also, but still soft. And because of the composition, it really keeps its sheen too. So it's pretty, just overall a great yarn to use for this project. So it's backwards now. When I flip the camera, you'll be able to read it and not have to read backwards. Just the nature of these Facebook Live videos. But okay, so you'll need a hank of that. Then lastly, well, not lastly, but you'll need a crochet hook. So Addie has different options. You can get the ergonomic ones, which will look like this, or just the straight up premium. Both are nickel plated, so they're really slippery and slidey, which makes for faster stitching, which I enjoy. And those are all the supplies that you'll need that you get from makersmercantile.com. You'll also need to have access to a sewing machine. You'll need some form of straight edge and measuring device. You'll need some scissors, a pen, and either D-rings or O-rings or some kind of hardware for the straps. And I'll talk to you about that a little bit more. Okay, and for those of you that are knitters and not crocheters, I'm going to talk to you about how you can easily convert this project. The cool thing about this is that you don't need an exact pattern to make this project work. That'll make sense in a little bit. So what I've done is I've broken down the project on a smaller scale. It'll be a little bit easier to navigate on camera. So these dimensions are obviously going to look very different, but you'll know what I mean. So I'm going to start by making the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and flip around the camera now while you continue to tell each other. I'd love to know if you've ever worked with cork before, or if you've just worked with adding crochet or knitting to any kind of fabric. Okay, I'm going to flip around. All right, so the first thing that you need to do is cut a piece of cork fabric. The dimensions are up to you, but using the fat quarter, you could probably go up to, and still have room for the handles, up to 14 inches. So that's what I did, or up to, you might even be able to squeeze in another inch, but I cut a 14 by 14 inch piece. That is not obviously the size of this piece, but for the bag that I showed you, the finished bag I did. So you want to fold the piece in half with wrong sides together. And then you're just going to machine sew. I used about a 1/4 inch allowance, but you can kind of just do you, straight lines along the side. And what you'll get is this. Well, it's hard to see because it's black, but trust me, it's sewn. What I want to show you though how to sew is the actual boxed bottom, which is this portion of the bag that gives it that nice flat area so that your bag will kind of stand up a little bit if it's got stuff in there to support it. All right, so to do that, all you need to do, and again, your right sides are together. I'm going to move this back because we're going to be working with the sewing machine in just a second. And I'll adjust that shot in one moment. Let me get us a little more light over here. All right, so it's going to be a little hard to see in black, but we're going to just work it together. What you want to do is take your piece, and it's actually easier on a bigger piece than it is here, and pinch it. Pinch it at the corner. So you can see that I've made a little triangle. And then you want to measure to make sure that for the purse that I made, I believe I went about 2 inches in. I wrote it down. It's on the pattern on makersmercantile.com. But for this one, I'm going to do less because I'm working on a smaller piece. And I also want to make sure that I'm equidistant on both sides of the seam. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to take, you can either just wing it if you're feeling brave, or you can take some chalk and make a line. It's up to you. All right, I'm going to pull in my sewing machine here. I don't use pins or anything, but if you'd like to, you should absolutely feel free to do that. This fabric's so easy to work with because it's nice and stiff that I just didn't have any problems. So we're going to go ahead and sew. So I'm sewing, I'm making sure to back stitch so it's nice and secure. I flatten out the seam. Sew to the end of that line. And that's what it looks like. Somebody just, Maureen's asking if you can iron it back. You know, I've never tried ironing cork. I would definitely, if you do try it, I would put a cloth, like a tea towel or something, on top of it. I feel like you guys need more light. There you go. Can you see that? So that's what it looks like. Okay, so then you would just do the exact same thing on the other side. You measure it like I told you before, or you can kind of cheat it by matching up the edges and working on the other side. So again, you would flatten it out and you would sew it across. And what what you get is a little something that looks like this. Okay, let me move my machine now. And it's actually a little bit hard to see the cork on my table, so I'm going to bring in a white canvas to make this a little bit easier. Okay. So you can see there's points here. Now, if you're feeling super fancy, you can fold these up and either tack them or on the other side top stitch so they stay up. I, to be honest, was not feeling fancy and I did not do that. So then you're just going to turn it around. Ignore my edging. And you'll see those box edges are created. Okay, from here, my friends, it is time to incorporate our yarn and to start our crochet portion. Move this where we're at. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do to attach the cork to the bag, as you can see here, is you want to blanket stitch all the way around. To do that, you can either wing it or you can, it's hard to see because this is cork, but you can make dots every 1/4 inch, about a 1/4 inch down, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch down, and every 1/4 inch. All the way around. Then, and I've already started this bag. Then what I'm going to do is create a blanket stitch. So for blanket stitch, you go in at point A and you come up, wrap the yarn around the needle, pull it through, and you can see that little loop forms, and now you've got the bar. So let's do that again. Okay, again, insert, come under the yarn, pull through. And you're just going to do this all the way around. Now you want to make sure that you're using a really pointy, large-eyed needle. Otherwise it won't go through the lining and the cork. But as you can see, it's pretty easy once you do have the corner. Now if you didn't have a sharp needle, you could use a really fine point hole punch all the way around first. And again, the cork that I'm using was bought on makersmercantile.com, as was everything that I'm using today, all of the supplies I'm using today. Okay, so I'm at the end of my round, and for this last one, I'm actually going to go ahead and poke all the way through even that seam, just to kind of tack it down, because why not multitask? Okay, so at the very last one, you can see the beginning, the very first stitch has a little slant because it had nothing to hold on to it. That we fix that at the very end by just sliding under the loop, and that creates our last one. Okay, so then from here, we're just going to tie it off. And we can kind of bury our tail a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. All right, so now we're ready. This is my little piece. Now we're ready to start joining the yarn with our crochet hook. Okay, so I'm going to, just a note on this in general. If you're a knitter and not a crocheter, you absolutely could use a circular needle and pick up stitches all the way around and knit. You'd have to play a little bit with gauge. I'd probably go up a needle size because knit stitches are smaller than crochet stitches. But honestly, the gauge for crochet is so subjective as it is. You may need to go up or down a crochet hook anyway. You might want to go up to an I like this hook instead of the H that I'm using. It really just depends. If you see if you're either getting a wave from too much fabric or it's cinching shut, you'll know that you have to go either up or down a size. Just play with it. If you're just tuning in, don't worry if you missed anything. The recorded version of this video will be available both on my Facebook page and on the makersmercantile.com blog. Okay, so now we're going to introduce our yarn. It really doesn't matter what stitch you work with. Again, you'll have to play around with gauge if you change it up. I can only vouch for the stitch that I'm using. But this can be your playground. Just kind of do you. I would recommend, though, your very first round doing a half double crochet, which is what I'm going to show you, because it's a really nice hardy stitch. So it'll give you sort of a durable edging against your cork. Okay, so what I did is I slipped my hook underneath one of the loops that we created by the through the blanket stitch. I placed a slip knot onto my hook and pull the loop through. So great to see all of you. Hi, Megan. Nice seeing you. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to chain two. That chain two will count as our first half double crochet. And you don't have to worry about the cork ripping because it's got a really strong backing added to it. It feels like maybe it's a home decor weight, maybe a poly blend backing. That's the beauty about it, is you don't have to do anything else to reinforce it. Okay, so now we're going to work our half double crochet. So we yarn over, insert hook, bring the loop through, yarn over, pull through. And you're just going to do that all the way around. The pattern that I chose for the body of this bag is alternating every other row, half double crochets and double crochets. If you're in the US, that's what they're called. If not, I think they're called half treble and treble. So you're going to go, but again, you can play with the stitch. So you're going to go all the way around like that. You can see how it's attached. And then the next round, you'll work in double crochet. If you need a refresher course on half double or double crochet, you can check out my YouTube channel. I've got free tutorials right there. So that's really all that there is to it. You're just going to continue all the way around. And then once you've finished as the pattern calls for, you'll fasten off. And then you're going to just measure a couple inches in. And you're going to pick up stitches and do more half double crochet. So I'm doing 3 rows here, and that's a tab. So I'll repeat that for all sides. All right, so the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to make handles. All I did here was cut 27" by about 1.25" inch pieces, 4 of them. And I didn't even have to turn them or anything because this fabric is so easy to work with. I just worked with them with the wrong sides together and top stitched. Super easy. Okay, then what I did is I added hardware. I cannibalized an old purse that I had, so that's where I found these, but you could use just plain old D-rings that you find in the craft store, or O-rings that might be in the home dec section. It really doesn't matter. You just need something to fold the tab over and sew it down. And then you fold the strap over and you would machine sew across that. And you repeat it for all 4. And that is all there is to it. It looks hard, but it is so simple. I hope that makes sense for everyone. So does anybody have any questions before I log off? This was so fun and so easy. And if you get the fat quarter, you will have this, and you make it to the dimensions that I've posted on makersmercantile.com. you'll have enough left that you can even make like a glass case or a business card holder or even some kind of small envelope wallet. Really easy, super fun, durable, and totally different. I think that you're going to turn heads with this project because it's a little bit unexpected and really fun to make. So thank you so much for hanging out with me and spending a Friday. I hope that this inspired you to be creative this weekend. Please check back next month for our next edition of Maker's Mercantile. I think we're going to be maybe doing a little bandit shawl action. We'll check that out. If you liked this video, please share it with your friends and tell people. Word of mouth is really helpful for us. And don't forget to use code Vicky10 at checkout at makersmercantile.com to get your supplies. Oh, and be sure to tag at Vicky Howell if you make one of these bags. I would love to see your works in progress. All right, have a wonderful weekend. Bye.